Today is October 5, 2014. I've got a little problem with the excavator. The idler wheel is trying to pull out of the track that it sits in, so the mechanics need to weld a little bar in there to keep it in place. So I'm trying to prep the excavator now for them to come up here and do that, and I have to take the track off. So we're going to take a look at how to take a track off an excavator. If you look in here, you can see that this is all bent out of shape out here, and this part was riding up at an angle and is about to pull out. So first step is in here you will have this little screw, this little pressure thing that goes in here. On the end of this you pump this up with grease, and that's what puts tension on the track here. So the first order of business is to take this thing out, and you can see the grease that was in there has already squirted out, and I need to collect that up so it doesn't go on the ground. And now you can see the track's all pretty loose. Next step is I'm going to take these blocks here, and we'll put the blocks in to block it up so the mechanics can get in there, and then we use the chain to pull the track off. So that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, now I've got the blocks in place. It's just a matter of lowering the excavator down on it. It took me a while to figure out how to do this. Best way I found is to get two long pieces from Home Depot like this, and then you can put this at an angle. This needs to be able to turn freely underneath. That's the key to all of this, is you've got to use the bucket over here to wrestle that track off. That's what we're going to do next. So I'm going to lower it down and then get the chains hooked up to pull the track off. Okay, now we get the excavator sitting on the blocks. We get the chain hooked up. I just looped it in and around here, so now we can use the excavator to give that use the bucket to give it a bit of a yank and pull that right off of there. Okay, there we go. We just yanked it a little bit. Popped it right off there. Now that gives us access to the idler wheel here. Alright, you can see what this is. See how this is all torn up here? It's supposed to fit into this groove, so we might even have to weld both sides. It's kind of a mess right now. Pop the idler wheel out of here. You can see the damage. Yeah, so it needs a lot of work. Probably gonna have to get up here with a sledgehammer and give it a few good whacks to get it back into position too. Alright, so that's all I can do for today. Today is October 11, 2014. Well, my mechanics got up here and they did the welding for me, so now it's going to be time to put the excavator back together, put the track back on, and get back to work. So let's see what they did here. These guys are incredible. Look at that. His father and son team, Bill Dickinson and his son Steven. Look at this. They welded a bar in here, and they whacked this a bunch of times to get it over. They welded a bar in here and underneath. That's just incredible. They did a super job on that. These guys, they bail me out all the time. I once broke the arm of the excavator right in half. Right here. Broke it right off, and these guys welded it back together, had me back up and running again the next week, and it's worked perfectly ever since. So alright, so today we're gonna go hook up the chain next to the track, and then we have to wrestle that track onto the idler wheel. So usually takes a little bit of wrangling to move it back and forth until you can get that thing on there. So I'm gonna hook up the chain right now. Okay, so I got the chain hooked up here and pulled tight. So now I'm going to just keep pulling it and moving it over. And you keep pulling it this direction, but then also pulling it in the other direction, get it over the wheel, and then get it to set down. Now if you ever lose both sides at the same time, you always want to put the back one on first. And that's really difficult to get that thing on there. So don't, if you're going to fix something, try to only take off one side. Don't take off both. Okay, an important piece to the puzzle I completely forgot to mention is you want to move the track back and forth a little bit as you're trying to wrestle it over the idler wheel. So you're going to go backwards, forward, as you're trying to wrestle it back on. So that's why it's extremely important that the track be able to run freely under the blocks. If you can't run the track back and forth, you're never going to get it back on. So you absolutely have to have that free play underneath the blocks. There, almost got it. Got plenty of free play in there. Got to move it back and forth a little bit more. Okay, we got it into place. It only took a couple minutes. You know, if you get the blocks set right, this whole thing goes together in a few minutes. If you don't have the blocks right, you're going to be screwing around with this for hours. Believe me, I've done it. All right, so now next step is we put the little plug back in there, and you know, back in here, and then we're going to pump it up with grease, and I'll put tension on the track. All right, so here's my grease gun. You can see when we squeeze this, you get a little grease out of the end. So we're going to use this to pump up the piston inside here and put some tension on the track. Okay, there you see I've pumped it up a bit. We've got a little more tension on the track. One thing we've got to do now, before I forget, is got to get this chain out of here. There's been times when I didn't take it off when the track was still loose and it was difficult to get out. So I'm going to take that off right now. Okay, now I tighten the track a little bit more. And now before I get any further, I got to get those blocks out of there. So I've lifted it up with the bucket, and we'll get those blocks out. Okay, so there you have it, track back on, pumped up nice and tight. One final thing is sometimes I find it difficult to detach the grease gun from the nipple in there. So I invented this little tool out of the handle of a 5-gallon bucket of hydraulic fluid. I can just put it around the nipple and yank it off, pull it right out of there, and it comes right out. So that's our lesson on how to put a track back on. I hope this helps you. It took me a long time to work out this system, but it works really well, and it makes everything so much easier. The key to everything is having some really good blocks and having some long blocks, which you can pick up at Home Depot or Lowe's. All right, take care.